opposition parties, both the DA and the EFF, have raised questions around who are these organizations that have entered into agreements in the renewable energy sector. Can the list of their directors, those that are behind these organizations, can those be made public and certainly be scrutinized to see who's benefiting behind closed doors? Of course, the allegation there is that money may simply be flowing into the same group of hands, and as you heard from Govan, situations where conflict of interest may arise then also needing to be dealt with. So that's the latest on Eskom. It's going to continue being a big story, and of course, as that takes place, we know that many of you in your homes are still battling with load shedding, rotational load shedding, and unfortunately, executives at Eskom saying that those blackouts could continue at least until April. The utility has a mammoth debt of over 400 billion rand. Now, households, businesses and industries alike have been left seriously affected by these power cuts. Aviwe Mtila has been roaming the streets to get the latest for us on that story. Aviwe, good afternoon. Firstly, just give us a sense, at least from what you've been able to see out in the streets today, how are people coping with these power cuts?
Well, Kathy, simply put, business, especially the smaller business, are not coping. They haven't been coping for the last 3 days. I remember I was at a little small sewing business over there, which does clothes, of course, and they were saying that business has been bad over the last 3 days. Remember, on Monday it was stage 4 from 1 o'clock till 10, stage 4 of load shedding, and in the ensuing days, the last 2 days has been stage 3. So businesses have been battling. There's one engineering company that I just got back from now, and they were trying to actually do the work now in the morning because they had a tip-off, or according to the schedule, they were told that at 12:30 the lights would be off. So they're trying to keep up with the demand in the morning in order to keep the customers happy. But that's another issue. Customers haven't been happy. They're disgruntled. They're missing their deadlines. So it's really a dire situation. And we heard that stage 3, the current stage 3 that you're undergoing at the moment, is costing the economy an estimated 3 billion rand.
When it comes to perhaps being better prepared for those blackouts, are we seeing that businesses are able, given the tough economic climate that we're in, to bring in measures like buying generators to assist them, or do they simply not have the capacity to do that right now?
Well, Kathy, we're seeing two types of business people. We're seeing those that are prepared, that have gone out and actually coughed out the exorbitant amounts for the generators, because that's another issue. These generators do not come cheap. So we're seeing those people that have bought those generators. And then on the other hand, we're seeing those that are only coming in now during load shedding, and they're buying those generators now. Of course, installing those generators takes a while, so you won't be able to buy a generator, for example, today and have it up and running and ready tomorrow if it's a proper business generators. Others are buying the smaller generators, which do not cover the whole entire business. I was at a butchery earlier on where only half of production was taking place during load shedding. And remember, that was city deep. That is one of the big industrial hubs of Johannesburg at a standstill essentially because of load shedding. So the economy is really taking a dent, has taken a dent over the last 3 or so days.
Aviwe, of course, households are also equally affected by this, and if you have small businesses that are struggling to come up with alternatives, one can only imagine what households are doing. From the people that you've spoken to, how are they surviving this?
Well, even me personally is finding it difficult to survive myself. Going home I'm crossing fingers that I'll go home to lights, as I have to prepare for work tomorrow. I do my ironing in the morning, especially if I come in the morning. But that's a general complaint. Even the traffic going home, you spend larger amounts of time in traffic only to go home at a dark house. You haven't prepared supper, for example, so you'll probably have to drive quite a distance to go and buy a takeaway or sleep having eaten nothing, because in the evening chances are it'll only come back after 10 or 11 of the deadline. So it's a dire situation for households, for many households across the country at this moment, Kathy.
All right, Aviwe Mtila, let's leave it there for this afternoon. And certainly you are not alone. We're all going to have to get used to spending some dark nights in the coming months as Eskom tries to deal with its affairs.